Three betrayal survivors are joining me today to talk about the best betrayal meditation. I wanted to have them on to talk about meditation because at some point in my recovery, meditation was really the only thing that helped me. So even though I was searching for meditations on YouTube or the library or other places, there weren't any meditations that really were specific to our situation. We're going to start with Pat. So, Pat, thinking about the best healing meditation for betrayal, what was your favorite thing about the Living Free workshop?
I love the focus on safety. I don't think we talk about our safety enough in our culture. I found myself during the meditations really contemplating safety in my life. I appreciated the process of walking through the idea of safety in all aspects of my life. It really opened the door for me to process. I realized that I have not felt safe in my environment ever, especially with my ex-husband. But I see how it was a really slippery slope with being numb to safety in my immediate environment during my marriage because I had been conditioned to not feel safe as a woman in the culture. It was very helpful. I have 4 daughters, 3 adult daughters, and I still have 1 minor at home. Because I didn't feel safe in my marriage, I protected them subconsciously from my ex-husband, and now I know why. After listening to the meditation, I am feeling more empowered to help them. I noticed that they also are numb to experiences that risk their safety because they've been conditioned to not really process their safety in their environment.
So the meditation helped you be aware of
Yes,
how you weren't safe.
absolutely.
The interesting thing about the meditation, it's not specific.
Mhm.
It's general because I wanted women to be able to adapt it to their own situation. Did it surprise you how specific it was to you and your experience, even though the meditation itself was relatively vague?
Oh, absolutely. There's a part in the meditation where you go through many different ways that we can feel unstable,
Mhm.
really at risk in our environments. And you name off lots of different areas. And the one area, it was just safety. Safety was huge for me. I had no idea it was so big for me.
Mm.
I'm almost 3 years into this since D-Day. I knew safety was big, but until that meditation and you going through the process of using all of the adjectives to name off different areas that we could be struggling or we could have this feeling of oppression, which felt really heavy. The part that was very hard was when you said, now feel it in your body. And I was like, for my first walkthrough the meditation, I was like, I don't want to. I don't want to do this. And then by the third time, I was like, all right, I can do this. And allowing that feeling in the body and then having this white light release it felt very uplifting. So by the end of the meditation, I felt a release, having the opportunity to release it. I felt peace.
Well, and the point of feeling all of the ways that you feel unsafe throughout your body, everywhere in your body, is to help you acknowledge it so that you can release it. Just like we've been in an abusive relationship and we did not know it, we're
Mm-hmm.
also
Yes,
unsafe in so many ways and we do not know it, but our body knows.
yes,
And if we tune into that, we're able to recognize it and then make some progress to release it. But also, as we release it, it helps us to make changes in our actual real life, not just in meditative form.
yes, absolutely. Absolutely. It's like the onion. The first time I listened to the meditation, I didn't even want to get into the onion. And then the second time, it was like, okay, I can feel this. even in some groups I was talking about safety, because safety seemed to be the biggest thing, safety and oppression. I also recognize that I don't like limitations right now. I don't like things pushing in on me. I struggle with budgets. I struggle with calendar because I don't want to feel that pushing in. I'm starting to feel that freedom of not having this oppression. And so when you went through the process of feeling the oppression, allow the feeling in your body. And I was like, this is the same feeling that I don't like about having requirements on me right now. I need to feel that freedom in my life right now. And it felt like there's nothing wrong with me for wanting to feel this because the oppression is what I've lived with for so long.
You're just trying to figure out a way to live with a different feeling.
Yes, yes, very much. And so that brought that up to the surface too.
So, for our listeners, because there are so many different topics covered by the meditations, she's actually talking about going through one meditation, the same meditation, multiple times, which I recommend until you start really peeling those layers back. So let's talk about the process of going through the same meditation several times. What was the difference between your attitude or your experience the first time and the third time you went through that same meditation?
Going through it the first time, I didn't know what to expect. I was very guarded. I felt cautious. By the third time, I knew what to expect and it felt safer in my body because I knew what was coming and I knew I could process this in safety. Even though it was difficult to feel the feelings, I knew I could move through this.
Okay, so by the third time, you were like, this is safe. This is a really good place for me to process these difficult feelings. This meditation will enable me to release them and feel peace.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. I do well with journaling. So the workbook helped me take pauses, process in a legible way, documenting it, getting it out of my body. So then it allowed me space to go back and revisit when I had time after the meditation to navigate through the process of what I had just experienced. So it gave me space during the meditation to really work through where I was at. And when I got to exercise 3 and 4, where I was writing down what was happening in my body, it allowed me to get it out of my body. I could really process my emotions and get it out of my brain. So I didn't have to hold on to it and remember before the next step.
So, for anyone who's like, a meditation, I want to lay down or I don't want to sit and I don't want to have to like fill out a form, what would you tell them in relation to this particular meditation and this particular workbook?
Mm, for me personally, it was hard to write in the workbook the first time. I would tell them to really move through with your gut. Maybe the first time isn't the best time to write down things. Maybe for them, just listening to the meditation is the best that they can do at the time. That's okay. It's really for them. And when they get to a space where they do want to actively navigate the meditation and really get things out of their body and their brain, then use the workbook as a tool for their own healing.
That's awesome that you said that because that is the point that women use it any way that is useful to them.
Yeah, we heal in different ways. The part where you went into all of the different adjectives of possible oppression, I've had to pause that. And so for some women, maybe they just need to process, and everybody processes at their own pace and their own time.
Yeah. I agree. I would recommend that they at least get as far to release the oppressive feelings rather than feeling all the oppressive feelings and then just being like, okay, I'm going to stop now, because then they would be left with all of it in there. So see it
Absolutely.
through to the end. And especially because you said the second and third time you felt way more safe.
Yes, yes.
Would you mind sharing some of the things that you ended up writing down about the colors or shapes? Did it surprise you what you ended up visualizing about your trauma? For me, when I would do it, like one time it felt like concrete and then it just fell out. Another time it was black ink that dripped out. I hope women just go with their gut with whatever they see.
Mine was pain in my neck or tightness in my gut. And it felt like my shoulders were high, they weren't relaxed. Taking a deep breath was really helpful because I relaxed and I noticed my shoulders drop. I noticed at one point my wrist had shooting pains through it. It can be very small. It doesn't have to speak really loud. Wherever your gut leads you to whatever part of your body that you start thinking of first, there's a reason why. So it's almost like, okay, so why am I at that part of my body? Is there something there that feels different than the other side of my body? Is there something tight? Is there a shooting pain? Is it itchy? Am I holding it? Am I not rested or relaxed in that space? A lot of times when you're not trained to be in your body, when this is a first experience of being in your body, it could be very subtle. But go with your gut. Your first inkling and the first time that you go to that space, just be inquisitive and allow it to come up. It doesn't have to be work or hard to figure out what's happening there.
It also doesn't have to be crazy creative, right?
Exactly.
If I said, "Did a color ever come up for you?" And you were like, "No, it never did." And then someone else was like, "Yeah, it was this weird green goopy thing." Either one is fine.
Absolutely.
In terms of listening to the same meditation 3 times, by the end of the 3rd time, were you like, "Whoa, I actually feel like I deserve safety way more than before I started."
100%. I had different visions in the workbook. On one exercise, the space in me wants to say that I am a human being and I exist. Just the fact that I'm here, I deserve safety simply because I exist. I don't have to do anything, be anybody. I don't have to be productive or kind or compassionate or forgiving to deserve safety. I deserve it simply because I'm a human being and I'm here. I have a right to be here and my own thoughts, feelings, and emotions. I have my own experiences and story, and I deserve the right to fill up space. You know, so much in my life, I felt like I had to be invisible. I felt I didn't even have a right to be in the body that I have. And so, even some of the boundaries that I've been setting is, hey, I deserve to have a right to my own emotions because I exist and I'm a human being. What I realized is safety resides within me. And by the end of the meditation, I felt stronger in my ability to set boundaries so that I could feel safe within myself.
Have you noticed your real life, waking, interacting with people, moving through the world? Have you noticed a difference since you've been through the meditation times?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. My dad came down to visit this past weekend and was asking some very personal questions. And I didn't have to over explain myself. Just because he asked the question doesn't mean that I need to give an answer. And also with my own children, my adult children, they're used to a mom that continues to give and give and give and doesn't expect anything, doesn't expect to get upset when they take something that isn't theirs of mine. They're used to a mom that will continue to do for them without any kind of reciprocation in relationship. So that's shifted because I have a right to exist. I'm a human being and I have thoughts and feelings too. And giving them the opportunity to meet me in relationship now because I'm a human being and I have thoughts and feelings allows them to have a different kind of relationship with me. There are growing pains for sure. And that's where I lean into the groups and your coaches. It's good because I'm now seeing them asking me, "How's your day, mom?" Or, "Hey, can I do the dishes for you?" Or, "You want to go for a walk with the dog?" Instead of just wanting me to do for them, there's a desire to meet me in relationship. The biggest surprise to me was I had a deeper understanding of the fact that I'm a survivor. It was in my head, the idea that I was a survivor just because of my situation, but it really dropped into my heart, into my body, the understanding that I'm here, I'm alive, and I deserve safety, and I deserve relationship, and I deserve peace. I deserve to have a voice. I deserve to have emotion, and I have a right to be here. I don't have to be invisible anymore. I would like the podcast listeners to know that there's hope and there's healing, and the meditations are a really empowering opportunity to see the positive shift. It's all about your interior world, and it will help you heal the trauma in a whole different way.
That's why I did it. Because with me, I talk about this all day long. So going inside through meditation or yoga or prayer is so much more helpful to me at this point. But it was also more helpful to me from the very beginning. Knowing how useful it's been to me, I thought we need to do these specific to the BTR population because using other meditations, they weren't gender specific. And so I didn't feel super safe. And there were other parts that made me feel uncomfortable because it wasn't specific to this type of abuse. So, creating these meditations for basically myself and all of our community members has given me a lot of joy.
And thank you for your work. You saved my life. Your work saved my life. I am just so grateful to you. And I love that you took something and you paid it forward. You just have been invaluable to me. So thank you for this meditation. It's completely shifted my life. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you to all the women who have listened and been part of the community. Because I feel like when one of us learns something, we all learn it collectively.
Yes,
It feels like as women, we're just becoming more and more healthy.
yes.
And it's exciting.
So exciting.
I wouldn't be here if it weren't for you. So it goes both ways. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
So now Lily, another betrayal survivor, is going to share what she thinks the best healing meditation for betrayal is. Welcome, Lily. The BTR workshop has 13 different meditations. I want to talk about how you felt when you did the same meditation 3 times, just like Pat. How did that help you?
Yes, when I was listening to it, I was also going through a rough week in my divorce process. And I found it very grounding to review and do the visualization and then actually to have the same visualization. So while I was going through all the turmoil on the outside in my circumstances, the meditation and the visualization and the process being the same actually provided some grounding for me to be able to kind of stay steady through it. With the chaos on the outside, I was able to find some peace and calm on the inside. And actually, I think having the same meditation made that possible. I was surprised at just how grounded I felt. When I came into this process, I didn't know that I could get away because my situation is difficult. My husband went after my son. He's very destructive. This meditation helped me go, okay, I can do this. I can get through this. I deserve this. Because my son has an anxiety disorder at this point. And so he feeds off of my anxiety. So what happened was when I was able to be calmer, I was able to be more grounded. He's less anxious. So that was really helpful.
Did you find that after the meditations, you were acting any different or thinking any different in ways that were like new to you that you didn't have to work to do or think about doing that just came naturally?
Yes, I'm able to be far more present and more attentive to my son and stay in the moment. After the meditation, my thoughts were a lot calmer. The rumination was much less. And as I did the meditation more than once, the ruminating got less and less. So it was a cumulative benefit of repeating the meditation.
A lot of women, when they know there's a workbook, it's like, what? That's not meditation. Meditation is like laying down and relaxing. So the suggestion to sit and have a pencil and fill this workbook out. How did you feel about the workbook?
I found the workbook to be actually very helpful to fill out during the BTR meditation because it helped me write down my answers as I went along, and it really helped me stay grounded and present to the meditation. Once the thoughts and ideas were on paper, I was able to let them go and be fully present to the next part of the meditation. And the other piece that I really appreciate about it is that afterward, as I reflect back on the 3 different times I did it, I had different answers to different questions. And that's really useful feedback for my trauma recovery going forward, especially identifying my stuck points in the areas where I have challenges and old traumas to go back to in my healing journey. One of the hardest parts of this journey was getting started, really believing that I could get to safety. And I've been participating in BTR groups for a long time, and they have been very, very helpful in that to be able to get individualized coaching on my particular issues and also hearing other women's situations and listening to the coaching they're getting also gives me lots of ideas on what I can implement in my own life. And what I really appreciated about the meditation was using the meditation to focus inward to my heart and to the things inside of me, and having a tool to examine it, process it, and release it really helps me to take that next step. The meditation works together with the group in that the group gives me the strategies and the ideas and the actions to take. And then the meditation gives me the grounding and the calmness and the ability and the strength and the clarity to take the steps that I'm learning in group. So they work very, very well together.
I am so glad to hear that. That's exactly what I intended was for all of these resources to work together. And before we started recording, you mentioned the Betrayal Trauma Recovery Living Free workshop also really helped you. And it had helped you change the way that you perceive him.
Yes, the graphic in the Living Free of the circle of my life and all the things that I'm excited about going forward, the things that I'm rediscovering about myself, the fact that I love to sing, the fact that I love music, the fact that I love to decorate, all the things that make me feel alive and are life giving for me that I lost somewhere in this marriage and am rediscovering about myself, to make that the bigger part of my life and relegate the abuser to the periphery of it. The meditation helped me to actually carry that out.
It's really cool because on my own journey of healing, I'm just adding on these layers of healing and then creating the workshop, this meditation to help other women do it. It's like so exciting that we're all making so much progress.
Hmm.
I love it. And I've only progressed as far as I am right now. And hopefully tomorrow I'll progress a little bit more. But also knowing that the things that I produce, the content and the workshop and the tools like, are actually helpful. Women are like, I felt better and I could do it. It makes me so happy because forever I went through the mess of pornography addiction recovery, which always made me feel worse. And I was just cycled through abuse over and over, or even couple therapy. I'm so proud of the stuff that I create and share because I feel like it's really working.
I agree because I went through that cyclone, whatever that was, of codependency recovery and therapy. Yeah, it made me feel worse too. I couldn't believe that my pain, my anger, my response to the heinous actions, the deceit was ignored. And I was supposed to have all kinds of sympathy for this dude who had done it. And why am I shaming him? Oh, to have him be the center of attention as the identified patient. Like, wait a second, what about the collateral damage here? It was so frustrating. I've been in your group for a really long time. To see women come in and not have to go through the meat grinder of the codependency recovery that I had to go through. So to see women be able to come into your group now and get the right tools, the right advice, the right frame that this is abuse, I'm seeing them recovering quicker. They're getting through the process faster. They aren't getting dragged through the same therapy trauma I got dragged through, and their children aren't getting dragged through the same trauma. And I'm really, really grateful for that. Because of BTR, I've been able to recover now, and he hasn't changed one iota, and I'm fine, and my kid's fine. I discovered your podcast, what came up on the algorithm, and then coming to group and bit by bit take the small steps. Because, for example, I was very resistant to go no contact because then I'm not going to be able to know what he's doing. And going no contact was the best thing for me. The coaches really walked with me through my process and my timing and my reservations. Like, group upon group. And when I was finally able to do it, they were celebrating with me. Nobody pushed me. And I really appreciated that. Yeah, it's been life changing for me. I honestly don't know where I'd be. I just want to thank you for doing this because BTR has just saved me, saved my brain.
Well, I'm so glad that it was helpful. The Living Free workshop, meditations, and the BTR group sessions work together. So the last betrayal survivor, her name is Sammy. She's going to talk about her experience. But I want to pause here to tell you the details of the workshop. You can get more information at btr.org/workshop. So I wrote and edited and revised and tested all of the meditations in the workshop. It includes 13 meditations, and they are all really amazing. Each meditation will gift to you something that you need, like love or support or peace. And even though the beginning of each meditation is very similar, there's a topic-specific visualization in each meditation. And women are finding it to be really, really helpful. So I've invited Sammy, another member of our community, to share her experience with the meditations today. Before you even listened to it one time, what were your expectations?
I have typically shied away from meditation because I'm coming from a Christian base. And I was afraid of, new age meditation, for lack of a better definition. So I kept reading scripture, prayer, and just my own meditation in communing with God, so to speak. But I thought, well, this meditation is coming from a safe source. I'm really open to this. I'll see what I think. Oh, yes. BTR meditation is going to be safe and fine. And I always know that, say I started, I can just stop. I hadn't imagined meditations where you would stop and kind of journal. At the same time, I thought, I'm going to go with what they say to do and see where it leads.
I bet that adventurous attitude has gotten you far in your life. Where did you hear about the BTR workshop?
I think it was BTR group. It's been a lifesaver. Yes.
Talk about that first time you went through it. What did you think?
It was in the middle of a day, which is unlike me. I normally would save this for either first thing in the morning or evening or bedtime. But I wanted to get started right away, and I knew I had a limited amount of time. And I went into a room where I have a prayer area, and I just decided to follow exactly what it said to do. The first thing that came to mind actually kind of surprised me. It took me back in my childhood, and I really didn't think I'd go there. So I just went with it. I mean, it really makes sense. That's where some of my fears and lack of healthy coping mechanisms began. I relived it, but it felt safe at the same time. I had plenty to write about where it would say stop and write. The first part about obstructions to knowing you deserve safety. And then especially under the part where it talks about if the obstruction could speak, what would they say? I loved some of your prompts that helped get me going. I had no problem expanding, experiencing that early life situation. I know I didn't feel I deserved safety then, but I'm absolutely resolute that I deserve it now. I carry a lot of my physical stress in my jaw area and my neck and my shoulders. I started that meditation aware that everything felt really, really tight. By the end of the meditation, I had noticeable, significant relaxing in those muscle areas. That was so encouraging in and of itself. I'm going to redo this many times. I have a lot of different things to process in my brain and my soul and my heart. I don't try to force it, just whatever comes up, comes up. I want to be healed. I know my Savior wants me to be healed, and He can work through many different things. And this, to me, feels like a wonderful, inexpensive, almost a version of EMDR. Not even all that time consuming avenue that I can do anytime. I have probably done it 5 more times, as recent as this morning. Every single time I listen to it, I hear something I didn't hear the last time. And it's usually something you're saying, because it's so filled with such good, nurturing words and information and message. Yeah, I just hear something different every time that makes it, deeper and more profound, more meaningful. One thing that has not changed every single time I've done it is that place that I go to in my mind where I do have total safety. All the sensations around me and everything makes me have that feeling. That has stayed the same. I'm just going deeper and deeper in relaxing. It's helped me be more mindful and relaxed. The other thing is each time there's about maybe 3 to 5 different parts of trauma that I've processed. Each time now that they come up in a thought, they're not as powerful. The power of their grip on me is lessening and lessening.
Yeah, I felt that way too. The more I meditated, it didn't have the power that it had when I was just going about my day.
And it's less than it was the time before. It's given me such a strong visual of that light that you talk about. I've experienced that in my mind's eye. One time in particular, many years ago, when I wasn't quite sure where I stood, and I prayed for a sign that God would reveal to me that He really is real. And it came in that form, in a half awake, real calm, relaxed state. And it was the most beautiful, brilliant, warm, but not too hot, light and warmth. I've never experienced anything like that. One time recently, a real blip of it, I didn't ask for it, it just came. Every time you talk about that, I go to that place and it just feels so real. So everything I need. I love imagining that light taking this pain and this trauma and just obliterating it. That helps me so much. And the more I do it, the more I keep remembering in real moments to try to do that. And then that force field that you talk about, I imagine this like circle around my whole body. It's an invisible one to everybody else, but it's like my buffer and my shield, and that's Jesus surrounding me. And specifically how you brought in angels, that's always been something so important to me. I could go on forever about how BTR is changing my life. I just can't even thank you enough, because I know it all began with you.
Well, thank you, because without your support and all of the women who have been supportive in listening to the podcast and like pushing that follow button, which helps the algorithm, donating so that I could keep going, using the services and telling people how amazing they are. Like, without the community helping me, there's no way I could still be doing this. This is my life's mission, and I thank you for being here for me so that I can continue to do this. I appreciate you so much. You can find out more about these meditations at btr.org/livingfree.